and the guide is teaching you, even in the water, here's this fish, and there's attitudes and behaviors. Look at what they, not just look that they're red or yellow or blue or something. Watch how they interact with each other, how others interact with them, and whether they're always by themselves, or where they come in pairs, or they float in groups. That's our job, is to teach.
All right. Thank you so much, Brenda, for joining me today. I am so excited to have you guys on Rincon Diving and Snorkeling. And I'd love to find out what got you started in Puerto Rico, how long you've been running uh, your scuba and snorkeling operations, and what was the inspiration behind getting started?
So Rincon Diving and Snorkeling was started in May of 2013. It specializes in recreational diving and snorkeling. Mostly we do beginners and some advanced courses. Specialty is for somebody who is a beginner or wants to learn more. So we don't distinguish between somebody who's never been snorkeling before and somebody who is experienced, because every experience is a teaching experience for everyone. We want to make sure that they go away with some new knowledge. If you're a beginner, maybe it's just something simple as learning how to snorkel. And if you're experienced, maybe it's like, okay, well, I see all these fish before, but what about them? So our tours include a briefing on the fish, how to use it. To us, everyone's a beginner until they prove to us otherwise. So
Sure.
we're in the northwest corner of Puerto Rico. San Juan, for instance, is in the northeast side. Puerto Rico is actually bigger than you would think. So
I'm sure.
most people land in San Juan. That's what they're most familiar with. To get over here, it's about a 3-hour drive. But if you ask me, it's better on this side. It's more inclusive.
Got it. So you land in San Juan and you maybe rent a car and you're driving across the coast. What's it like to drive in Puerto Rico if you're coming from the States or Canada?
Crazy. It is crazy.
It is crazy.
I came here in 2004, and it was like, you're really going to drive here? So I do have people who won't ever make a left turn. They go right and then they turn back around. So there are a lot of Puerto Ricans in New York and a lot of New Yorkers in Puerto Rico.
Yeah, that's funny.
Think about that. So,
Got it.
it is, I guess there are some, to me, it's a long, long drive, but if you're coming from the Northeast or something, it's just a hop and a skip.
Sure.
A little bit of hint, there is no fast lane. So you pick a lane, they pick any lane you want, you can stay in that lane, you can move back and forth. No fast lane, just to drive.
No fast lane. They're all fast lanes.
All
Got it.
fast lanes. Or
Uh,
slow lanes. It depends on who's in front of me. So, and if you're coming from the States where you're used to the fast lane, if people come up behind you and you're in the left lane, the fast lane, you move over to those lanes.
that's funny.
Used to driving crazy.
So if what
But
when most people are visiting Puerto Rico, uh, is there like a typical circuit that they're doing, or is Rincon on that circuit? What are some popular destinations that people visit, and what is special about Rincon and where you guys are specifically?
I encourage people, most people will land in San Juan, which is the international airport. And then I encourage people to, spend a day in San Juan and then go to all 4 points of the island, the northeast, northwest, southeast, southwest, to get a full experience. They're all different. Um, the diving is different, the snorkeling is a little different. Here in Rincon, we have the Tres Palmas Marine Reserve, which is a big reserve, and its specialty is the elkhorn coral and the staghorn coral. When you think of elkhorn coral, think of big moose antlers. When you think of staghorn coral, think of deer antlers. It is an endangered species and it's well protected in the reserve. Florida, the Tres Palmas Reserve is the best snorkeling that. So, and I have been diving and snorkeling since 1987. Add it all up, but it's been amazing. There's something that is amazing, just putting your face in the water to snorkel. And then when you get to go below and you're just another fish, then, taking somebody who only breathes on land and let them know that they can breathe on water, it's pretty special.
I'm sure. So are most users, most people coming to visit Rincon, is it mostly for snorkeling and they've maybe never done it before and they're exploring it for the first time in Puerto Rico? Or are you more?
Rincon is best known, Rincon, the town, is best known for surfing.
Okay.
Being on the Northeast, so, but that's where a lot of the surfing season, we got a lot of people who just stay for season and then go. It is a tourist destination for somebody like me who is just looking for more of a relaxed life than San Juan.
And is that like seasonally all year, or are there seasons that are, the best time to visit or the worst time to visit? What is the temperature like? Is there rain to consider? What's a good time to come visit?
I get that question like every day. When is the best time to go there? It depends. What do you want to do? Winter is surf's up. When the surf's not up, generally the water is more clear for snorkeling and diving. Surf season ends in March or April, so most of the surfers will go home. Or people come in July, like, we came to surf. Dude, you came in the wrong season. So yeah, you're not getting, well then, or you can't surf, well, let's go diving or snorkeling. The idea is to get you in the water.
Oh, that's great
most
to know.
people come to Rincon from the Northeast. JetBlue, all the United, American, they all have like direct flights out of Newark, JFK. There's direct flights into Aguadilla. We have two airports in Puerto Rico, major airports. One, of course, is San Juan, the one people are most familiar with. And then there is Aguadilla, which is the Rincon, BQN is the code. And that airport is 30 minutes from us. And the flights I was telling you about, which are direct, go right there into Rincon.
Got it.
And,
by the way, you sound so much better now.
I put on a headset, a physical headset.
Okay, well that just did it. I'd love to capture that piece about. Tell me more about the different types of corals that you can find during snorkeling between the moose and the other antlers. That was really interesting to me.
Yes.
And follow up on that is, how are those corals doing? Are they thriving? I see that they're being protected. Like, what is the state of the coral reef in that area?
In the reserve, I think they're very well kept, very well protected. Even after the hurricane, we were very pleased with how well it recovered. When you look at a fish ID card, or like name that fish, the reserve, we pretty much say we see these fish species. You don't have audio or video, but we see these fish species most of the time. in the reserve. Not all of the time, because it is the ocean, you can't call them, but elkhorn, staghorn, brain coral, soft corals, hard corals, they're all just pretty amazing in there. And it's a 5-minute drive from us, or if you were to walk the beach, maybe a 20-minute walk, and you can walk the beach all the way over there. It's pretty impressive if you look it up, Tres Palmas Marine Reserve. And so we enter and exit from the beach. You don't need a boat. We hope to teach you how to snorkel, so then you can get your gear and go anytime in the world. A common problem with snorkelers when they do a boat tour is that what you're getting for your tour is the boat ride. And they have these barrels of equipment and say, okay, here you are, see you back here. And if you don't have the experience to know what to do, then you can have a really bad experience and never go snorkeling again. And so we want to prevent that by teaching, how do you put on the mask? How do you get the water out of the mask? So, and that's our snorkeling. We do a huge number of snorkelers, but we also teach diving. First time divers is called Discover Scuba. Open water. I don't know if you dive or not.
No, but I'm very interested. We've only done one scuba trip, and it was somewhere in between a great experience and just like getting frustrated with the mask. So that's really great to hear that the way you guys lead people into snorkeling is making sure that they're comfortable and they're set up to have a better experience. We did a typical, boat out to go snorkel around. It was still a phenomenal experience,
And
but I
then
can remember. Yeah, and then
they
the
just said,
mask
put this on and we'll see you back here, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there was
Right,
absolutely
and nobody told you how to fix it.
Yep, you're right.
So it really, we teach you enough, which is a downfall for us. We teach you well enough that you won't have to come back to us. And so, but we hope that when you learn, you will buy your own equipment and you can carry it with you everywhere. There's water.
That's amazing.
So
if somebody's
then you'll, once you're
in love with-
comfortable snorkeling, what if you had a good experience snorkeling, you're like, okay, then I want to go down there with the fish, then you might. But if you have a bad experience.
Sure. No, it's a good entry decision if we want to continue doing these adventures, maybe get into scuba, or it's a once and done type of experience.
Right. If you do it right, you keep going. Yeah. It's loving. I had a tree climber the other day from Vermont. He's like, no, I just like to climb trees. He came back 4 times. 4 times.
That's so funny.
It's like, it's addicting. It is addicting, it's beautiful. Today's dive was very, very, very nice. 3 brand new divers, so they had a blast, and they're from Rochester, New York. They don't have this in New York, right? So
it's a very different experience.
Connecticut, very different
and
experience.
When you're going out snorkeling, I actually really love that you don't need a boat to take one of your experiences, because that is like time you're sitting on the boat, you're waiting, you're getting seasick. And here sounds like you grab you get your knowledge of how to use the gear, and then you're going out there right away and floating around the reef, which is amazing.
Right. And the guide is teaching you, even in the water, here's this fish, and there's attitudes and behaviors. Look at what not just look that they're red or yellow or blue or something. Watch how they interact with each other, how others interact with them, and whether they're always by themselves, or where they come in pairs, or they float in groups. That's our job, is to teach. And I think that's why people pay us. That's
Yeah.
So that's why we make the big
underwater
bucks,
safari.
I used to say. But yeah, but it's an underwater safari. So
yeah.
Oh, speaking of safari, there's one other thing that we do, is that you see those scooters over there in the corner?
Yes.
Right over there.
Yeah.
Right there.
Yeah.
They
the little
are
big fans.
underwater scooters.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So what we do, we use those on a snorkeling. So you just hold on to them and they will pull you through the water. And you can also use them on a dive trip. So if
That's
you're
amazing.
certified, of course.
So on a typical snorkel,
Yeah.
you're floating around the top. You could use one of these scooters to like pull you back down so you can experience further deeper. You're holding your breath, and then you could just kind of resurface back to the top.
Right.
That's
Just surface.
awesome.
Yeah, it's just
That's
like
so cool. Are they battery operated?
James Bond style.
Yeah,
They are battery
absolutely.
operated. Yeah,
Super
they
cool.
are
How long
battery
do they
operated. So
last? How long could you use them for?
they're rated for 90 minutes and it depends on the batteries, of course. So,
Sure.
but they weigh about 20 pounds fully loaded, you know, with the battery and everything. So they're easy. They float for snorkelers. Just, it's a no calorie tour.
What led you to actually start the shop? What was that journey like?
No, I came to Puerto Rico in 2006 to open a shop as a diver.
Okay.
My background is as a paralegal, and my partner was in construction. And in 2006, there was, I don't know, economy issues, right? So we see where that's going.
Mhm.
It was, we're old enough to change our lives, old enough to know better, but young enough to still do it. So we came to open a dive center. I had never had any diving. I mean, I was a diver, but I've come a long way in the years that I've been in diving. So my story about diving is that I was Air Force, and it happens
Okay.
a lot with divers. So is that I met a guy, you know, he was a diver. He, you know, you can't really hang out with divers unless you dive. I like to tell people it's like going to the bar and not drinking. You can do it, but it's
Yeah.
not nearly as much fun. And I hear it all the time from my students. Why are you getting certified? Well, I'm not going to be sitting on the sofa while they come back and tell me how great it is. So
Sure.
that was my experience. I got certified, but and then, you know, and I didn't dive, but we were military. So we moved a couple of times. We tried a couple of places to dive. And so, but once you're certified for life. So I was
Okay.
21 and I'm not 21 yet. And so, you know, life gets in the way. You get
Sure.
careers, jobs, you move inland and outland and stuff like that. And when you're old enough, when you really grow up, then I tell people, you know, when you grow up, you can teach scuba in the Caribbean too.
That's
So
cool.
I chased this diver around for years and years, and we ended up here. And so through many careers, or not many careers, lots of years, but this turned out to be what we chose to do for.
Well, that's
because
awesome.
this is,
You could really tell that you're doing something you love, and just
I
hearing
do.
you talk about your dive today.
And so it was beautiful today. And to teach these people, they had no experience. They learned to do a little bit of diving in the pool, and they're so like, let's go explore. They're not young. My typical customer is in their 30s, which is what my new divers were today. So I get people who are, of course, young, obviously, but I get people who are looking to fulfill bucket list items.
Awesome.
And
And then
and
talking about scuba diving, so around that same topic, what is the typical barrier that you probably know so much more about this? Like, what are some frequently asked concerns or questions that people have about getting into diving? And how do you,
sharks. Sharks. I'm
sharks
afraid
is the
of
biggest
sharks.
concern?
I wish we could see more sharks. You know, like if we said more sharks, we'd have more divers, you know.
Yeah.
But scuba diving is an equipment intensive sport. So like any other sport, golfing, it does require some equipment. So maintenance of equipment. It is an extreme sport. And people say, you know, isn't scuba diving risky? Well, yes, but mountain biking, skiing, you know, skydiving is high risk. driving on the roads of Puerto Rico, I tell them that when they get here, they're like, yeah, isn't that high risk? Yeah, or just driving in the city, high risk. So what scuba training does is teach you to manage those risks. So in our Discover Scuba course, it's for somebody who hasn't had any formal training but wants to try it before doing that. We teach the basics of scuba, 3 or 4 skills, and now you're diving like any other diver on a shallow reef. Anybody can put the equipment on and dive, but it's what if, how to manage the risks. What if this happens? And that's what training is. It's what training is in all adventure sports.
Absolutely. And I think it's really critical to know that even if you're trying some of the other sports, I think lessons in taking a skilled course absolutely not only increases your confidence, but you can enjoy the activity a lot more too. How long is that typical process of getting comfortable and getting into diving? Like, what does that journey look like? You're taking a full day course, is it a weekend? And then what does that get you? And if you want to keep getting better and better, deeper and deeper, like what is that journey of getting into be maybe an intermediate level scuba diver?
The first level is a Discover Scuba course. It's just, I like to call it one bite of the donut. It's like the bait, if you get one bite of the donut, you want the rest. So it's just those 3 or 4 skills, a shallow dive with the instructor. Do I like it? Discover Scuba Diving. The next level is Scuba Diver, which gives you more training and it teaches you to dive to 40 feet. So that takes some online learning. We're e-learning facility and 2 days of diving. And then the next level is open water diver, which is finish some e-learning that you started in the last level and 3.5 days of training. So you do some more skills in a pool or in confined water it is, which we use confined water here is the ocean, which is the biggest pool there is. And then 4 dives, and that gets you to training to 60 feet. If you'd like advanced training, there's advanced diving. The maximum level for recreational diving that, according to standards, is 100 feet. And to some, 5 feet is like amazing. 100 feet is, until you bathe there, is just unheard of. But it's so easy. Just breathe. Your job is breathe.
That's great to know.
Manage the risks.
Absolutely. And then is it better to go through intro diving and then like going through those different feet all at once, or do you take the intro, go do some dives, and then the next trip you're doing like the next level, and the next trip you're doing the next level? Or is it better to just kind of go all at once, or does it matter?
The intro, if you get the intro and you're like, I want to get certified, the intro is non-certifying. So if you want to get certifying, then go right into the scuba diver and then follow up with open water. After the open water, it's better to get some water time and some comfort level, because advanced open water doesn't necessarily teach you a lot of new skills, but it refines your skills. So that's what advanced does to you. And it introduces you to some of the specialties that open water does. But the bulk of your learning is in your very first classes. Taking somebody who, wants to hold their breath when they put their face in the water, it's natural, right? You put your face in the water, you want to hold your breath, and trying to tell them breathe, and teach them that you can breathe and you can get as much air as you demand. So from the equipment. So, and when they get that, you can see it. You can see the transformation. Like, instead of looking at the person in front of them, like they're going to save me, now they have the skills and the knowledge to manage those risks themselves and actually see the fish.
That's super cool. I can see that it's an amazing experience underwater when you go through that. Just like let go, you start breathing, and then you can relax and like enjoy what's around you. How much? What's the typical
weightless
cost?
in the water?
Right, you're just that floating experience. What is the cost of some of these different packages? And then if you decide like, okay, I'm really into scuba diving, what are some things that you have to go out and then buy, and then versus rent on a typical trip when you're once you're into it?
The equipment rental in a dive locker has everything you need to rent. We have divers who come in all the time, and with the luggage issues that they have, they just rent everything. I would highly recommend that they have their own mask and snorkel, because it's going to fit you nicely. And, there's the whole COVID thing, which I hope is getting better for us, all of us, everywhere in the world. And the rest, most people will rent the jacket, the BCD that they use, and they'll usually rent the regulator. That's where the majority of the costs are. And the rentals are reasonable. For us, it's $23 to rent your BC reg for a certified diver. Our Discover Scuba course is $125 per person, and it includes everything. And then they're half a day. Meet in the dive center at 9 and usually finish around 12:31. And technically, you're a diver as soon as you finish that. You just need more training to get the certification. So,
oh, that's awesome. And what about the certified course, the scuba course?
The certification course worldwide varies as much as a candy bar. And so in our shop, and scuba diver course is $375, and a open water course is $525. Our training agency is PADI, Professional Association of Diving Instructors, and you get your textbooks directly from them. So for scuba diver, I need 2 days. For open water, give me 3.5 days, half a day in the classroom, and then all water, if you do your homework.
That's actually a lot more reasonable than I was expecting. So that's right around $1,000 or so, and then your travel cost to get around. You can be certified, and then every time you want to go out there, you rent your gear, bring your goggles, and then you can go out for dives in different parts of the world. And that sounds like the certification is internationally held, and you can just show that you have it.
Worldwide, PADI is the largest training agency there is. Now, this time of year, we get a lot of people like my students today who are doing referral courses. They're from New York. So they spent their time doing some training in the pool in New York, probably a heated pool, and then they come to nice Caribbean waters to do the remaining open water dives. There are 4 open water dives to get their certification. So, if you're stuck in the house and, go to your local dive center, wherever you're at in the world, and sign up for an open water course. You might even tie it in with the trip that you're going, and do your diving when you get to your location. And cool, like the divers today it's a bro trip, and he's like, well, we could sit on the beach and drink beer for the week, or we could do something really cool. And they decided to do something really cool. And
I like that. That's a fun bro trip. Better than a VIP club in a hotel or a club and spending your money there.
Yeah.
Not that
well,
I haven't
they
been
still
there.
can sit on the beach.
You can still do both.
They can still do both after the dive.
Yeah, absolutely.
But they're walking away
awesome.
with something that's lifelong.
You're making me fall in love with diving. I can't wait to try it myself. And it actually seems like it's something that you can kind of explore a lot of different places. It doesn't necessarily have to be around a coral reef or the ocean. It seems like you can dive different places and explore different things.
Anywhere there's water. So let's see, I did Lake Champlain in Vermont, a copper mine outside St. Louis, a place in Arizona called the Blue Hole. It was literally a hole, a freshwater spring. You go down and you go up. Careers in scuba diving. Anywhere in the world you can teach. I'm told that Colorado has the most divers per capita. You wouldn't think
really?
that. So yes, there's dive shops in every state, and you would think, okay, where are they supposed to dive? In the Northeast, there's Dutch Springs in Pennsylvania. It's a spring, cold water spring, and people go there. There's just quarries all over the world where they sink boats or ships, or not ships, boats or cars, and they use that. So anywhere there's water, and you can teach in these facilities. Like Colorado is typically, we call them travel shops. They start them there in Colorado, and then they schedule a trip. New Yorkers or Northeast people, they'll do all the training in their local dive center, and then they schedule a trip to warmer waters. And so dive masters are where you start earning money, and instructors is where you start telling people what to do in the water.
That's awesome. That's there's a whole ecosystem around it. I love that every state, and I've definitely seen these dive shops, and I've like Salt Lake City, why is there a dive shop here? Maybe you can dive in the lake. But it's good to know that you can take the lessons, you can get started near you, and then as you're taking your trips, you can not only go on an adventure at that destination, you can continue to improve your skills, get more certified, and tag it along on your vacation. It sounds super fun.
As much as all of us dive here, guiding tours, there's always what I like to say, something that we have not seen, because the ocean is big and vast, and we don't even see what's out there until it appears to us. It happened last week. It was just something I had never seen before, between a snail and a starfish.
Oh, interesting.
I thought
like
snails were vegetarian. Turns out they're not, because he was eating that starfish. And
that's
so
funny.
I was pretty amazed. I got it on video.
So it sounds like you're getting all kinds of new experiences when you're underwater. What is one or a few that really stick with you over the years of your amazing dives?
Meaning locations or experiences?
Either one. Some of your favorite destinations that you've dived, or some experiences that you've had, whether it was the biggest shark you've seen in the world, or what stuck with you over the years.
You never get tired of swimming with turtles, or seeing a stingray float under you, and finding a seahorse, because they're little tiny things. Finding one of those and watching them move, so these are things you don't ever get tired of. Diving the world, different experiences. The copper mine in St. Louis, that was just a couple of years ago, and I've been diving 30 years. It felt like, to me, like I'd never been diving before, because it was extremely different than I was accustomed to. The lake in Vermont, Lake Champlain, cold water, dark, night dives are pretty amazing, because what's asleep during the day is awake at night. So what you might think is a rock or a piece of coral is moving around at night, because they're animals. Awesome. And being able to eat the lobster that you catch, the fish, that you see. So that's amazing. And around the world. So I got certified in Guam. So when you get certified, where you get certified sets your benchmark for diving. So in Guam, warm Pacific waters, clarity. So then my next stop was Chesapeake Bay, Maryland. I don't know where you're at now, but let me tell you, that is the experience. You can't see, it's rough,
wow.
So, but if you get certified in Dutch Springs, Pennsylvania, when you come here, you know better. You know that seeing between, your body this close to you is not standard, then you're hooked. If you can get through that. So that's
sounds like visibility is something that's a special, unique experience. So being able to see a lot and see a lot of cool things underwater. Are there things to consider when someone's looking for a guide shop to get certified? Are there things to avoid or certifications to look for to make sure that you're going through the right outfitting, the right shop?
We are a PADI dive center, and I'm also a NAUI instructor, and there are many, many acronyms: SSI, TDI, PADI, NAUI. INTD. I mean, there are many different training agencies, but all the agencies want to get you to a level of training where you're proficient. Okay.
Okay.
So what I tell people is to not choose the shop, not choose the acronym which the shop supports, is to take a meeting or with the instructor, because it is that person who's going to teach you what you need to know. So you're hiring the instructor, not the training
Okay.
agency, not particularly the shop. Investigate the shop, and you need to have a comfort level with your instructor, because they're basically throwing you underwater and telling you to breathe. Do you trust that person?
Yeah,
I always ask my
absolutely.
students, hey, do you trust me? And they're like, yeah, I trust you. Well, I met you 5 minutes ago. So we need to be
Build that
clear
up.
on what your expectations are, and so, yeah. So
That's
yeah,
great.
I trust you because you're the instructor. No, you need to trust yourself, because you need to ask these questions. So
Well, I can't wait
health
to
concerns. Health
Yeah.
concerns are an issue for diving. So divers need to fill out a medical form, and there are some conditions which will not allow you to dive, or conditions that will not allow you to dive without a medical authorization. So we get
Okay.
that sometimes. That will throw
Is that
them
more
out.
lung related?
Anything that will cause you failure to breathe, heart, asthma, epilepsy, things, so
COVID?
COVID, actually now, since COVID, they asked you, have you been diagnosed with COVID?
Sure.
And the new form says, if you say yes, then you cannot dive without a medical authorization from your
Okay.
doctor. Your
That's
doctor
something you
says
get
yes
from
or
your
no.
doctor. Okay.
Yeah. So if you're not prepared for that, that could be a little thing. I don't know enough about COVID to know how badly it affects your diving, but it
Yeah,
does
it's
affect your
probably
ability to
different by
breathe.
person. Sure.
Mhm. So, yeah.
Well, you've got me super stoked about exploring the underworld, and I'm super excited to find a place where I could dive into it. That's kind of a problem it's a adventure problem, that every time I get on with the outfitter and see your passion about the amazing things that you offer, I'm going to quickly run into a problem of being into too many amazing activities, but it's a good problem to have.
Yes. So where are you physically located? You
Right
travel?
now, yeah, we travel full time in an RV, and right now
Mhm.
we are in south of Silver City, New Mexico, in the Gila National Forest,
Mhm.
and it's at about 6,000 feet. It's beautiful, lots of mountains close by, but high desert. And
And what are your number one sports?
gravitate a lot towards mountain biking, and we typically travel around mountain biking, and if it has paddling close to it as well, that's amazing. And if there's some hiking and some hot springs, that's like a even better plus. So we try to overlap some of those activities, but we love to paddleboard, kayak, and just be around mountains and nature as much as possible. And wherever we are, we try to explore what the special thing is in that area. For example, right now we're in the Gila National Forest, and it seems beautiful. And we can't wait to get out there and hike a lot, and take some of the more rugged mountain bike trails that are here, which are not it's not known for its mountain biking, but when you look at the map, there's just trails abound. So that's kind of how we try to balance our work life, is try to explore wherever we are as much as possible. We always have a comeback list of, like, didn't get to everything, but we make a list of everything we want to come back to, and then hopefully the
Wow.
next time we're back, we can go after those.
Okay, so I have a challenge for you.
Sure.
Wherever you're at, look up for your local dive center and get a dive experience. So, and it will take you from the mountains into the sea, and you'll always have some place to be.
Yeah.
And
Oh, I
then
love
if
that.
you
And that rhymes.
do, yeah, I didn't do that on purpose. If you do get certified, the other challenge I tell people to do is go to an aquarium.
Okay.
Baltimore Aquarium, Georgia Aquarium, the Epcot. Go to Epcot and dive the living seas, you know. And here's the question I want you to know, to answer, is that when you're outside the aquarium, can the fish see you?
Interesting. I'm
So
not sure. Yeah, I don't know if I've ever made that
so
connection.
when you dive in the aquarium, can you see the people?
Huh. Okay.
So because you are the fish.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
That I'll have to take that experience, and I hope more of us get to try scuba diving. I hope this conversation reduces the barriers and inspires people to try diving, because one of the things that really concern us is the disappearing wildlife and species underwater, which a lot of people are
it's
not
true.
aware of, and the coral reef. And just by going through an experience once, hopefully when we come out of it, we can take some actions and work towards eliminating a lot of the issues that are causing the environmental destruction under the water level. So if you're
It's
listening to this, please
education.
take,
It requires
yeah.
education.
And we truly believe that it's if you don't know about something, if you're not in love with something, you're not going to work towards as hard towards preserving it. So just by going on an adventure and trying something new, maybe it will leave you with a lifelong care for that ecosystem and that habitat, because you can connect with it better.
Certainly.
Well, awesome. Thank you so much, Brenda. Is there anything that you would like to add or cover about scuba diving or snorkeling or visiting Puerto Rico?
We would love to host you on our dive center and take you diving or snorkeling, and stop by just to say hello here in Northwest Rincon.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being on the show today. And we can't wait to come see you in person.
Okay, nice to talk to
All
you.
right.
Thank you.